potential of these emerging technologies. Today, we have the pleasure of hearing from a panel of three very different business industries and how they utilize new AI technologies. Our panelists are Jessica Campos, founder of Marketing for Greatness.
I'm wearing my crown, please.
Yeah.
Susie Freeman, founder of Team Warrior Academy. And last but not least, Dow Jensen, CEO of Oak Rocket. The panel will be moderated by Melinda Garvey, founder of Awesome Women Magazine and CEO on the Dot. I am excited to get started and hand it over to Melinda. Thank you.
We don't like to share, so she's gonna bring me her mic. That way we can do it.
Do we want to pass
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
pass it along?
Thank
Thank you so much. Really excited to be here, excited to be with all of you, and really proud to sponsor this event. I've been several times in different cities, and it's always awesome, so I was happy it was coming to my hometown, and we could be a bigger part of it this year. When they asked me, I kind of came in as a last-minute fill-in because the person from Meta, I guess, couldn't do the panel, and when she said, do you want to moderate a panel on AI? I was like, what do I know about AI? I mean, I know nothing, less than nothing. And I'm wondering about y'all in the room, because this is look, they're coming in still, like it's amazing. But how are you guys feeling about this? I mean, tell me, who in here actually uses AI in their work? Okay, wow, that's amazing. And we're gonna leave some space at the end because we want to hear from you and what you all are doing. Okay. Who in here is super, super terrified and a little bit like, oh, what do I do? I mean, okay, just me and you girl. All right, now we got some other people that fessed up. Okay, here we go. So I think that it's so great to see this and to see, I'm gonna tell you just this tiny little story. We do a big event here in Austin, we did in September, and we also had a panel on AI. And when I was interviewing over the summer, different kinds of panelists, we had like panelists that were deep expert, like in legal AI, and I was interviewing a gentleman about being on the panel and actually, being one of the educators. And he said to me, he's like, okay, can I just ask you, I'm a little confused. He's like, this is a women's conference, right? And I said, well, yes. And he said, well, why are you doing a panel on AI? I mean, I wouldn't think that would be important to women. No lie. I can't make this stuff up.
Yeah.
I've had the magazine 21 years. Trust me, I've heard a lot of mansplaining, and I didn't think I'd be here. But
Take the different perspective of that. They just think we're too smart. We don't need it.
There we go. I love it. Okay, so we're going to dive into this and these amazing women and these business owners who are using AI. I'm going to talk to you about how they're using it and what their thoughts are about it, and hopefully to kind of stimulate and generate some ideas within you all as well. So what I'd first like to ask each of y'all to do is just to give a little 60-second, who are you and what do you do, so that they have some context around your business. Because what I find is so interesting is y'all have completely different businesses, and I'm thinking, how do you, so this is going to be a really interesting conversation, so I'd love everybody to have that context.
Sure thing. Well, I'm Jessica, and then I consider myself an attorney turned marketer. We can talk about it later, but my business, actually, I run a marketing company. We do SEO. I also do events, and I try to establish myself as a leader by writing content and being on social media. I have 4 kids. I have a husband, 2 dogs, and a mom, and a family, right? So yeah, it's a lot.
I'm Susie Freeman. I'm the founder of Team Warrior Academy and the Team Warrior Box. So I am a teen mentor, parenting coach, and a suicide prevention and recognition specialist. I teach and certify in that. And that's why they invited me in here for very specific mental health advocacy stuff and how I use that in my business.
Good afternoon, Dow Jensen. I'm from San Francisco, California. I also am a mother of four, single mother of four. Started the company 10 years ago. It's called Oak Rocket. We are a system integrator and someone who helps you save money on your AWS, Azure, and Google bill. So we're born in the cloud, the first one in the West Coast. I'm also a WPO member, YPO member, Harvard OPM, and one of the fastest 50 women-owned companies in the United States. Right here. Bootstrapped it 10 years ago with $40,000. We went from 31 to 63 million last year.
Wow.
And mostly selling the enterprise. I do need to put a plug in as a single mother. I recently lost my daughter 11 weeks ago, who's 16. And I think it's really important to talk about not just our achievements, but our imperfections and the things we deal with, from mental health to children and raising children. It's probably the hardest education I've had than anyone else, and it was my youngest. And you know, it's really important for us to be real with each other and help each other out, grow from what I started at $500,000 to now, 10 years later, at 73 million.
Thank you. Thank y'all for doing that.
This is turn back on. Okay, so let's first of all talk a little bit about let's lay out some challenges. So what is the number one challenge that you see AI and other emerging technologies helping you solve? So I'd love for you to just kind of talk in general, if you have some general thoughts about, you know, all business, you know, how AI is gonna help overcome those challenges, and then maybe also give a specific example of how you're using it to overcome a challenge in your business, something you were faced with and that you use it to overcome. So Jessica, you want to start?
Sure. I can speak from my experience and from conversations I've had. I think that our nurturing nature as women especially want to do many things, want to help people. So that's one area where our minds, our brains are always thinking about who needs me, what do I need to do, what ideas can I bring, you know, and can launch, and all of those things. Then that can be like the overarching, but then when you put it more narrow to the specific uses of, let's say a business owner, and I have started multiple companies from zero to hero, and when you are at that zero, it's very, very stressful. You're trying just to bootstrap, to do, and make lemonades out of the lemons you have, right? So what it does to your brain, it's actually can be considered damage. I mean, you cannot stop thinking, and that can be a challenge, because imagine that you are in a soccer field and then you want to just kick all the balls at the same time. It's impossible. I feel that AI, and this is gonna be funny because one of the words that I struggle with is focus. But I think with AI, I get to be more focused. Sorry for my accent. By compartmentalizing the topics, the thoughts, the ideas, and I get to just pencil that using a voice note, and then I don't miss my thought. I don't miss my opportunity, and I feel like you can grab into your thoughts, and they're there. They're going to be later on for me, and I feel that that's just really amazing to see that contributes to your peace of mind, and then you can really tap into your creative brain. You can really tap into just being more nurturing, and you're going to be more happy because of that.
Well, and I think that's super interesting. We actually talked about this yesterday at lunch, and I will admit I had never used ChatGPT. I didn't know it. And she's talking about this, right? We're saying, oh yeah, I just have the app on my phone and I just tell it all kinds of things, and and I was like, yeah, right. I just want you to know, I went home, I downloaded the ChatGPT app, and I just said, I'd like you to outline a conversation with questions for me to ask female small business owners about how they plan to use AI in their business and how they feel about AI, and give an overview of examples they might use. It outlined, I was like, what? And my brain, I was like, that's all I did, and my brain didn't hurt at all.
You see?
It was, so she's right, just saying.
I would like to say I'm pretty new with it, and I don't really, I'm the type of person I get in, I'm like, just give me the basics, and I kind of, because there's just a lot of things to learn. There's even a lot of programs to use for AI, so I'm quite similar. I use it for idea generation to just keep that exhaustion down. I use it to have conversation and get different perspectives. So, you know, as simple as her, you know, if I am doing some content creation around something specific I want to get out to parents around a certain subject, bonding, family bonding, or teen bonding. There's a lot out there, so I might ask it to give me a few ideas, and then maybe I'm like, ooh, never even thought of that. And then I have it help me elaborate that, and then I can ask it to also, hey, can you help me get some hashtags around this? Can you help me? Mine is pretty simple, but life-saving, because my brain isn't overwhelmed, I'm not exhausted. My idea and energy exhaustion, and it even helps with roadblocks. You can have all the ideas and all the amazing thoughts and things in the world, but sometimes you get stumped on that last sentence, and then you quit, you stop, you're like, I'll come back to it, and then 3 weeks have gone by. Now, if you have something you can go to and say, you know what, here's what I'm thinking, here's where I'm at, I'm feeling a little stuck, help me out, give me some inspiration or something, and it goes, and you're like, oh, and it just kind of like relights that fire under your butt, and you can keep moving forward.
So a little bit like Jessica, I'm a finance person by heart turned into sales marketing specialist. So, you know, I ran for youth governor when I was 16 as the first Asian in Minnesota, and I wanted to be president of the United States, right? And change the 22nd Amendment. And then I got pregnant at 19 and had to quit all of that and change, right? And I think one of the things that's very difficult for us in life is trying to make pivots on how we do things and the habits that we have. And so I go around and talk a lot about, is AI replacing your salespeople? Is it replacing inside sales, outside sales? And the thing you have to think about is bad question in, bad answer out. And if you don't validate what your team is looking at, you may be caught in getting fictional information into your clients' hands. So I think one of the things from a challenge perspective from a business is you do need to double check what you are sending out, what you are looking at. But the bad question is not about getting rid of salespeople. The real question should be, that's the bad question. The real question should be, how do I speed up building relationships for my salespeople and building trust quicker? Because that shortens your sales pipeline. And that shortens, you know, your sales cycle. So when I left London and went to San Francisco, I did 180% of my number in 18 months, knowing no one in San Francisco. So I recommend products like fireflies.ai. If you guys haven't done that, I did $8 million in my company with 3 people in my company. And then as we grew, I couldn't be in every meeting. And so I can see and read and hear the actual, even from fireflies, how, are people mad at each other on the call? Like, it'll summarize that to you. Who was happy, who wasn't. You can have things to help you sales productivity from a mundane perspective, like my friend Lisa here who brought me onto the panel. She does blogs for you from AI. And so how do you become a specialist in your area if you're blogging and having someone write it for you instead of trying to write content all yourself? You know, and using Zapier and using your HR systems in order to help with recruiting so you're not going through every horrible person you're trying to interview and wasting your time. So I think there's lots of things that you need, but from a sales perspective for us, I believe in the 4 F's. You guys can write it down, right? What does the person like to do for fun? What does their friends and family look like? What type of food do they like to eat or drink? And the most important is, what do they want to do in the future? Not, I'm selling to the CEO today, I'm selling to the CIO today. That person actually wants a different job, a different dream, like all of us, 5 or 10 years from now. And we're so focused on who we're selling to today, we forget about who this person really wants to be and wants to achieve. And if you actually can do that, you will do multi-millions like we have by scraping that data out of social media and saying, oh, you know what, AI told me that person is from the 80s, and all the social media tells me they probably like 80s music. So I should offer a ticket to listen to Def Leppard. And I've had that happen, where the guy's like, I usually say no to people, but shit, of course I'd love to see Def Leppard. So it's really simple, but it's connecting the dots. And it really, I mean, we can go in a whole story about why the 4 F's matter, but knowing that about a person is not about your product, it's about the person. And people buy from people, and people buy and make emotion into logic.
Okay, awesome, thank you. Well, now that we've brought up people, why don't we stay on that track a little bit? And I know that one of the biggest concerns, I mean, how many of you are, I know this is the National Association of Women Business Owners, so most of you are business owners, but even, do you have employees that are afraid they're gonna be replaced? Are you afraid that you're gonna be replaced? Is anybody sort of feeling that, or heard that from your employees? I know that's a big buzzword about replacing people resources. So how do you balance this and do the best for both worlds, right? I mean, I think you gave a perfect example about how do you sort of speed up that relationship and really augment that. But also, how do you sort of then rely on the strengths of both AI and your people, and then how do you measure that so that you know if it's effective?
Yeah, I feel like we need to first take some context, and I feel like AI is part of the digital economy. I'm actually a living testimonial of how much the digital economy has offered me versus a traditional career path I had as a lawyer. Back in 2008, when everybody thought I was crazy by just putting my diploma in the wall, is because I realized that there was no way I could be a mom, a career woman, and then achieve the fulfillment and freedom. That career was really not sustainable for me, and I saw that after being practicing for 7 years, and I didn't know that I was going to be doing what I'm doing today. All I knew back in that time is that certainly I didn't see myself doing what I was doing for the last 7 years. Raise your hand if you've been in that situation. You're like, I don't know what needs to happen, but all I know is that this is not gonna be. And with that, I just leap, right? We talk about resilience, we talk about, how we pivot. My pivot actually was based on what my intuition told me is that in the digital economy, we have no ceiling. We can have that global team. We can really break into different places versus me as a lawyer, I would have to be licensed in every single state if I wanted to help somebody. But I want to help somebody, it doesn't matter where they live. And then, so because of that, I believe that we have been seeing the impact of the digital economy for a very long time, and it has been very positive. And I feel like Dahl answered that kind of like question a little bit. It's not about replacing your team. My team, for example, we got to prompt our team with our chat, right? With all the information that we have. Now, I get to have my team, instead of just interrupting my day and my flow with silly questions, now they have my brain on it. They can actually grab a strategy for a client because we have segmented the communications in our GPT, for example. We have created bots with particular conversations that if they don't remember, they can go there and ask the chat. So I feel like it's not more on what they do, is how they're working better. In terms of measuring, I feel like it's the speed. I brought a book just to give you an example of how fast you can turn around a book idea. I gave a lesson, a webinar, recorded it. The recorder was, created a transcription. With ChatGPT, I just basically dumped the entire transcription, which comes with, the time stamps and all these kind of things. It's not clean. So I got a clean transcription, and then I got to play around with a couple of tools. And then after that, it actually analyzed my content. It divided it in topics, and I got to read the transcription into the manuscript of a book. Then I got somebody to edit it for me, and then I put it again, and I have a book that I would love for you to see it. And it's just like, I can't believe how quick I was able to turn this. And it was not even what, Alex, like 10 hours or so in the entire production of a book. Now, let me make this very, very clear. I'm the author of the idea. It was born out of a webinar and a class that I taught, right? And this goes into like, you have to be mindful on if you're going to put work out there, that you have proof that this is your work, right? I created that masterclass. From the transcription, I generated a copy. If this was not because of AI, this project would not have even go from the get-go because of how much it costs. Let's face it, if you have ever published a book, you're not going to publish a book to make money. You just want your work out there. And it's beautiful to see that you can have a book that I feel really, really good about the content that it has, and now it serves a purpose.
It's funny, these two are intimidating me. They're much bigger than I am as far as how they're using it, which is fantastic. But I do know there are a lot of you like me. I'm a solopreneur. And by no means am I like him writing templates for ChatGPT. I'm like, you do what? You can do that? So how I use it and what I was thinking, and one of the ideas that came to me is, what I hate is, I love the people aspect of things. When I call and I want some help from, say, the credit card, the bank, or I'm so done with like this, push 1, push 2, right? Or let me transfer you to the other department. We could, or companies could implement AI to help that entry-level customer service person have the answers. Because if you're doing what these ladies are doing, you're putting in your company data, it's not fake, but it's using AI to help. It's hearing the conversation and the question being asked to a real human, and then it's instantly giving the real human your company's data to answer that question, and they answer it in a humanly way. So I think that's one way that it can be fantastic. Other ways for me, when Jessica was mentioning the book, I do kind of the same thing. I have a huge mentorship program. Sometimes I want to segment it down because I want to do a webinar, or maybe I'm just wanting to take this whole, 3 months of this training session I have. I do a year mentorship program, and I want to just chunk it down a little. I'll just copy and paste all of my creation, and I ask it, hey, how do you take all of this and just create me a 2-page workbook? How can I take all of this and I need a script for a podcast? And holy shit. And then it gives you something and you're like, oh God, and you're like, how about a 7-minute podcast? And then it's like, and you're like, love that. How about you talk about or emphasize this a little more than that and don't use this word? Because it'll incite, and you're like, man, life is amazing. That's how I use it right now. I am sure when I start building a big team and things, this is going to be important, but I will need somebody like him to do that. I will never go deep enough to learn it, to build it. It's just not my thing.
And it's right. That's what
I love you guys.
That's what
And you don't need to build it. You got people like Lisa and team to build it, right?
Yes.
So the question about replacing people, like I said, we're not replacing salespeople. We're trying to make them smarter.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I'm an advisor for Will.i.am from the Black Eyed Peas. How many people know who he is? Right? Did you know he had a tech company? Right? So he has a creatives for Slack. And when I met him, I had no idea who he was. Nor did I know he had a tech company and was in robotics. I do not profess to be a technical person. Like I said, I don't know anything about Java. I went to work for this company as a finance analyst and just realized I was bored at a desk 9 to 5 doing a spreadsheet. And I'm good at math, that's why I'm good at negotiations, but I'm not a techie. I've never did a line of code. So let's just be very clear. We need to all, no matter what industry you are, embrace technology, right? And help yourselves with it. So what Will.i.am says is, the lazy people who won't look at how AI can help you in your business will be replaced. The people who are smart and try to use it however they can in their professional life will just get better at what they do.
Yeah.
But it's like the camera. The camera, when it was invented, people thought artists would go away, painters, etc. And that's not the case. The case is the great painters still were alive and thriving because they distinguished themselves from the bad painters. And the photographers became a new segment. And so I'll encourage you to look and say, how can AI help you pivot and create a new business line or a segmentation that helps you create more revenue for yourselves, especially reoccurring revenue with automation, and allow you to be something different to your customers, to add value and add another 10-15% on your revenue base. But it is not a replacement, and when you measure AI, it's not just about productivity, in my opinion, because sales is not about productivity all the time, it's about results. So if I can close $10 million in 1 year, I'd rather do that than try to close 50,000 every month, right? So it's really what's important to your business and you, and also how do you embrace it.
Well, one of the questions,
One of the next questions here is, which I think I already know the answer to, is just when you're exploring AI for your business, what do you think is the top tool that will be most easily and cost effectively applied? Sounds like we probably know the answer to that, but I'm curious if there are other tools, in addition to ChatGPT, that you think would be good for them to look at.
So this is an area that I feel like we sneeze and then 50 new tools are going to be created. The technical reason for this is because one of the reasons why OpenAI became so fascinating is because they just opened their program, and then basically anybody who does the code, they can actually use that brain and that intelligence, and then they can just use it for any use case. So I would say, yes, you start with ChatGPT for your communication and for your idea generation as an entrepreneur, as a multitasker, and as somebody that wants to increase your productivity and really have better conversations, and even like have conversations with yourself. Sometimes I'm looking for inspiration and I just, just dictate whatever thoughts I have. And by the way, the app, and you should be paying for the tool.
Yeah.
The app allows you to just open your microphone and you can be rambler, you can go back and forth. In my case, English is my second language. So in fact, if I don't even use Siri or Alexa. Alex is my business partner, so he sees me working on the struggle. Like, if I say something to Siri, it would never understand my accent. It's just horrible, horrible. So I give extra points because it doesn't matter my accent. It doesn't matter if my sentences are in order. So I don't need to be conscious about it in order to get an amazing outcome of what I want. So you start with that. However, look into, depending on your industry, what programs have been created. Based on in our example, we do content marketing, SEO. And yes, ChatGPT could do a nice blog post for you, but when you do this at scale, that means that you need to go very, very much, into having something that already is pre-programmed with your instructions and things like that. So we have been using other tools that are more tailored to our industry. In that case, we use Content at Scale. We became partners with them. And just to give you an idea, in 2 hours, we can generate 100 articles. And that's the kind of scale that we're talking. Imagine there's no budget that can allow you to produce 100 articles so that Google actually knows who you are and what do you sell.
3,000 words each.
So I'm gonna be a bit of a naysayer in this area. How many of you have tried and said the same question in ChatGPT and got the same answers out of them? Where is your authenticity and your true voice, right? And there's software out there that can see if a child cheated and got copyright, right? So my concern would be when you use AI, you really need to be careful and bring your authenticity and your own voice into it, and make sure that you're not just taking something, copy pasting. I mean, we've seen lots of people copy paste people's websites and said the same words of their competitors, and it doesn't make you any different then. So I think it's very important that you use technologies that bring your authenticity. It's helping you start faster, but you need to then really look at the data that you get out of it, make sure it's factual, and also put your voice in it. Otherwise, you're just another company, right? And I think the people who are lazy will not look at the copyright and will not fix it and just ship it out and send it out. So I would be cautious about doing too much of that, and then be able to, like I said, I'm probably promising so many different con calls and so many meetings at one time. I'm not taking notes. I want to be present. So Fireflies gives that to me, and I forward it to my virtual admin, and I have her read the notes and make sure she does a follow-up for me because she didn't even have to be in the meeting, right? So that's helped me in the productivity. My company is a tech company, so we actually help shorten the we help shorten the cycle of developing software for you. So the mundane costs you pay for even someone in India to write code, we'll shorten that using AI and write the big portions of the code, and then the software developers actually are happier because they're working on code that is unique and interesting. So that's how it's helping our business and our customers' businesses.
I love all that they have to say, but I'm just gonna talk to those that are new to AI or, keeping it a bit more simple. So if I could give out my few 2 cents, keep you under a couple hundred a year in costs. Pay for the Chat GPT, it's $21 a month because you're gonna get, it's a little slower output, but it's definitely more accurate. I also use copy leaks. So I'll take something like, say I wanna write a blog. Throw, hey, ChatGPT, do me a blog, I feed it a lot of what I want, kind of like brain dump, if you will. Then I ask it to create this blog or a format. I'll then take that and I go, okay, pretty good. Throw it into maybe copy leaks, and then it kind of detects what it thinks is, which is something that can detect more AI, not human written. And then I throw it into Grammarly, and I kind of bounce back and forth. I throw it into Grammarly, I do a plagiarism check. Anything that's over 2%, I will change it, fix it. It could be even just a simple statement that it took from another article or a quote from a person. I'll re-summarize it, add my voice to it, change it up. Maybe I'll put it back to copy leaks. It really depends. I'll alter a lot, and in the end, I would say 85% of it ends up being my voice, but it's done so much faster because if you have somebody there throwing all those ideas at you or telling you this format, it's very easy to write something. I'm not spitting out 100 in an hour, but she's probably put in a lot more robust. So that's just me soloing it out, my one blog a week kind of thing. It's a simple start. It's a simple start to get you doing it. If you don't do a podcast, if you don't do a blog, but you're like, I'm going to do a blog, I just don't know. Use it. You're gonna be done with that blog in 30 minutes. It's gonna get you started. And then, once you get going, your brain just starts doing its own thing. So that's just my share on that for you guys.
Just be careful though, if you have trademark or IP that's really special to your business, you don't wanna use OpenChatGPT.
Yes.
It is not secure.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, we have about,
We have about 10 minutes, and I want to make sure that we open it up to some questions, so.
Okay, I have, to your point you just made, I've heard and learned through practice that ChatGPT is not what I want to use, that Claude is more secure and more proprietary, will keep my information more private to me. Is that your experience as well?
That's correct. Or you can buy the enterprise version into your own company, but it's expensive. But I think
Well,
there'll be
I'm
more
just using the
technologies
free
out there
version
coming.
of Claude.ai.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's better.
And then, so ChatGPT paid version versus Jasper or Claude.ai. So there are differences, but I only heard each of you talk about ChatGPT. So is there any other information you have about the other ones?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, some of the technologies I didn't bring up tend to be more enterprise size and costs. So if you look at, I'm happy to share some of the technologies, but it's more costly. And so I didn't think this room would really be wanting to spend that much on some of the, enterprise versions of the products. And I think more will come out at a more affordable capability. But using companies like Lisa's or other people where you can have safe data might be the best way for now, like a service, to do some of it.
Yeah, we use Poe, which is where Claude lives, and then the difference between ChatGPT and Poe is that you can actually enter a very large amount of data, and I think it's like 100,000 words or characters. It's like huge versus ChatGPT. Now, the main thing that will help you to get great outputs, especially if you're going to program it for different use cases, is to activate your chat with your persona, any persona that you want to create. And that's actually how, for example, my blogs will come authentic because I prompted it with my own blogs. It's my own words. And yes, there's gonna need some tweaking, but if you prompt it, meaning like you charge it and you first tell the chat, can you learn this? Can you learn about this person? Can you learn about my voice? Can you learn about my content? It's not just going to ask for the output first. You need to do some prompting and some work before you go for what you want it to say. Just like you would ask your virtual AI, right? In your virtual assistant. So treat it like that and talk to it, give it hearts, give it likes, and then it gets better. It gets better if you do those things.
Can you list those questions again? You said Poe, how do you spell that? P-O?
P-O-E. P-O-E, Poe.
And the other one is Cloud?
It's inside Poe. Mm-hmm. Claude.
Yeah, Claude. Does anybody else have a question? Yes.
I would love to know, what are some of your favorite ways to phrase a question to get responses that you're looking for?
Depends on the question, but I'm gonna go off a little what Jessica was saying. You need to preempt with kind of what you think you want the outcome to be and who you want it centered around. Let's just say, I'll use this for a quick example. Sometimes it writes my captions for NAWBO, my NAWBO posts at home. I'll just go in and say, hey, I already have it ready and set, who we are, who NAWBO is, what we do. And then I'll just say, hey, we're gonna be doing an event around da-da-da-da, focused on da-da-da. Hey, can you write me a couple posts? I want the post specific to LinkedIn and I want the hashtags to match. So you just, it's all in what you preempt it with and all what you're going to tell it you want and teach it. And like she said, keep it going. I've actually reopened that same window where I've had a lot of conversation in dialect with ChatGPT, so it knows a lot, and I'm like, hey, go back to what we've been talking about, and now I want you to create XYZ. And I don't have to re-implement all of this stuff. And there might be a faster, better way.
Well, I
But
would
I-
say, yeah,
generic.
about prompt engineering, there's like, the anatomy of a perfect prompt, and then actually we did a webinar, and it's in our YouTube channel, where anybody can access, and then there for every element of the perfect prompt, you have different examples of what to ask. And one of the most fascinating is like, can you reverse engineer how to do this? And it's like, I cannot ask a human that question. It would take that person a lot of time. And just to see how the output is just fascinating. And I feel like that's the part that will activate, there's something on your brain, right? That will be like, ooh. And that's what we need on a daily basis to keep our creative juices flowing.
Agreed.
You can ask OpenChatGPT what their competitors are, right? I mean, so Anthropic and others are competitors. You just need to play around with it and look.
It's in the back, or middle.
So besides things like LinkedIn and books and things, are there other tools? I know, for example, Canva might be one that has AI. Are there any other specific popular software programs or things like that, tools that you can use that AI is very impactful for?
We have been using a lot, basically the video AI tools. I love that, here you can just grab clips and then use the CapCut. It has an option which is free, and it has an option where you basically use AI to give you any template based on the emotions that the app believes that are part of the video, and it allows you to share a story. The other one is actually there's multiple video editing AI where you can actually just have a long form content, turn that into short form, and you can use it for your YouTube, for your TikTok, for your shorts. And this is something that you can do in just like a few minutes versus hiring the video editor at that point.
It's called Opus Clip, by the way.
Opus Cut, right?
Opus Clip.
Opus Clip,
Yeah, Opus Clip.
is it a subscription?
It is. When you sign up, you get 20 hours free of video. Well, actually, yeah, it's like 20 hours. But when you pay, you get up to 40 hours, and you could take a 10-minute video and turn it into 10 individual clips from 30 seconds to 90 seconds.
That's awesome. I should see all your
Yeah, and
social
captions too.
lit up and blogs from everybody next week. That's what we're saying. Get seen.
Opus Clip.
Opus Clip.
Opus Clip.
Yeah.
There are a ton of AI solutions coming out every week, VCs, and that's where all the investments are coming. So the question is, what's your industry need?
Yes.
So like Salesforce is doing AI and entering it. Every ISV, which is a software company, is putting AI or trying to stay alive and try to be competitive, right? So I just think you got to look at what are the tools that are important and which one of those companies are bringing more AI quicker, or do I have to build it and get it to where I need to get because it's not sufficient enough, like in Salesforce.com.
Okay, we have time for one last quick question. I saw your hand up earlier. Yes.
So, with regards to doing market research, what type of AI is recommended for that? Because I know ChatGPT statistics and data is not current, what do we use to do market research and trends?
I think ChatGPT has implemented Bing now, haven't they?
Yeah.
To try to help them be a little more, and also ChatGPT can now crawl websites. So I think you can get a little more, but
The paid version. The paid version.
The
is
paid
way-
version. Okay.
Can I answer that?
You can answer.
Yeah, so they just reinstated Bing into AI. They took it off, I think, a couple months ago because they found it was doing copyright infringement.
Sweet.
And so they have the plugins. There's a plugin called Web Pilot. It's one of the plugins that will crawl the web.
Web Pilot?
Web Pilot. And I noticed when they just added back Bing, I would go back and ask the same questions, like go crawl to this website, like my client's website, and go create social media content from it, or go do whatever the search was. And Bing is a little tightened that down now. It's not like, that's why I can't go to the website. I think because of the copyright, I'm finding that same question, I'm getting more information from having the plug-in Web Pilot. So I would try both if you're on the paid version of Bing versus the, but they both will search, so you can. If the free version only is September 21 and back, so you can get newer information.
Yeah,
like that.
but I
It's
do
definitely
know
different out there.
within the last month or two, ChatGPT did a specific with Bing.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming they allow it.
Yeah,
and-
it's tightened version now since they
Yeah.
took it off and brought it back.
But you always get better responses, right, on the paid version.
Oh, absolutely.
Better data, better.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's funny because my husband and I will test it. He'll ask the same question and be like, and then I'll ask and he's like, dang it. And my husband's a coder, so he's one of those work in the dark basement code weird guy.
All right, y'all, we're gonna have to wrap it up. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you guys and sharing your stories. And I hope, I feel like a little less scared. So after here, so I hope that you guys do too, and good luck out there.
Melinda, and I'm giving away this, so if they want it.
And Jessica's giving away her book, if you would like a copy.
Yes, yes. I'm sharing